Caleb Williams and DJ Moore's chemistry has gotten considerably better over the last couple of weeks. We're going to talk about how the Bears can continue to build off of that, as well as other Chicago Bears players who have been improving over the last couple of weeks. And Adam Schefter has an interesting trade target for that offensive line for the Chicago Bears. We'll talk about all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And so Caleb Williams and DJ Moore have both talked about how much their chemistry has improved over the last couple of weeks. Caleb Williams saying this: having a special player like DJ on your team, you obviously want to get him the ball and let him just be DJ and be special. It felt really good. We were super excited. We got to the sideline and we were both like, finally, we're able to hit something like that. DJ Moore adding to this, saying, I had a lot of energy. You know why? Because we're hopping on that play, and we finally connected between me and Caleb. So when it comes down to it, there's growth being done here between Caleb Williams and DJ Moore. If you look at over the last 2 weeks, they've connected on 3 touchdowns over the last 2 weeks. That's really good growth. On top of DJ Moore being utilized in a much better way in the overall flow of the offense as well, that's something that we thought, of course, coming into the season, that was going to be a big part of what helped the Chicago Bears team push forward and go forward in the direction that we need them to be. Getting Caleb Williams more comfortable and Caleb becoming more comfortable as a player, of course, is going to help that substantially as well. And so far in the season, DJ Moore having 27 receptions for 294 yards and 3 touchdowns, averaging 10, almost 11 yards per reception in that time. Those are solid. They're okay, right? Especially considering where we started off. Now, of course, we expected DJ Moore to be far ahead of that going into week 6 of the season. But, the thing is that you're getting it on the same page. And that's the most important part of that, is getting these two players on the same page and getting that chemistry going. And that is improving for this Bears team. And hopefully is going to be a big part of the backbone of how the Chicago Bears offense can continue to develop. And so DJ Moore right now, I get it. People were worried. They were concerned, talking about DJ Moore being unhappy. And, of course, with how vocal of a supporter of Justin Fields DJ Moore was, it's going to naturally come across with some issues or whatever else it is. But while he started the year with 11 catches for 89 yards in 2 games, and you look at the overall how that's grown since then for DJ Moore, the more confidence that Caleb Williams is growing, the more momentum that DJ Moore and Caleb Williams are growing as a duo, it's all going to, it's starting to pay off for the Bears. Now, you got to still be intentional in how you're using DJ Moore. You still have to be intentional in making sure you get him the ball in the areas that are going to be most impactful for him and keep building that chemistry and the confidence of Caleb Williams. And a game against the Carolina Panthers could go a long way in helping that along, but we just got to keep chugging along at it. And this week as well, in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars, you just want to see them continue to take another step. Now, it's not always going to go and end up with DJ Moore with over 100 yards in each game. It would be nice, right? But overall, you just want to see that continued growth with Caleb and all his weapons. And so DJ Moore is a very big part of that so far. 8 catches for 79 yards against the Colts, right? Which one was on a Hail Mary. Then he had his first touchdown against the Los Angeles Rams, 3 catches there. And then in week 5, 105 yards on 5 catches and 2 touchdowns. Listen, DJ Moore is the wide receiver 1 for a reason. And in last week's game, it looked like we used him like a number 1. Caleb Williams played like a starting quarterback again against the Carolina Panthers. Now we just got to keep building and developing off that and see what we can get. Now, as far as other players I want to talk about other players who are really progressing. And I'm just going to start off with one I was the most surprised about in going in and looking at his tape. I'm it's still not great. I want to be clear here, and I still think that Ryan Bates could take the starting center position when he comes back. But Coleman Shelton has really quietly but surely put together 2 really good weeks of football for the Chicago Bears. I mean, Coleman Shelton has been more stable. It seems like him and Caleb Williams have been more on the same page with things like that. And so, understand this is that Coleman Shelton wasn't the one expected to win the starting center position. Now, I'm not giving him any excuses for that. You're a professional football player. You need to perform. And he didn't perform in the first 3 weeks of the season. And while week 4 against the Rams wasn't amazing, and I'm not saying either one of these games were amazing, you're starting to see him him get better at it. And so maybe it was just a learning curve of him, learning that, getting into that rhythm with Caleb Williams and the offensive line, but also him kind of understanding the position of being that center. And so, in no way am I saying that he needs to be the center moving forward. If Ryan Bates comes back and he outperforms him, puts Ryan Bates there at the starting center position. But I gotta give him credit. Last Sunday, of course, against the Carolina Panthers was his best game yet. And you look at like how Coleman Shelton has progressed. He blocked downfield on a big play from DeAndre Swift, and he's starting to look a little bit better. So I got to give Coleman Shelton his flowers on improving, because I believe in the criticism is loud, the praise needs to be just as loud, and I'm going to acknowledge that Coleman Shelton has been better over 2 weeks, allowing less pressures, all those type of things. Just overall, his operating in the offense has been a lot better. Still not great, but I'm going to give him his flowers and say it's been a lot better. And then, of course, if we're going to talk about weapons, you got to talk about DeAndre Swift. DeAndre Swift started his Chicago Bears career. He was towards the bottom of the league in efficiency and production for every starting running back in the league. Now, the Bears offense also was starting off very bad as well. When you look through the first 3 weeks, 37 rushing attempts for 58 yards. It wasn't good. 6 catches for 46 yards. Then you look at the past 2 weeks for DeAndre Swift. 37 rushes for 166 yards with 2 touchdowns with that time. That was just in the running game. And 9 catches for 119 yards in the air. It's a big difference in how DeAndre Swift is being utilized and the production and success that he's having. And I think overall, using him in that passing game has made things easier for Caleb Williams as well. But then also Roschon Johnson, and just finding more success in that ground game overall has been really big for the Chicago Bears. And you got to give some acknowledgement to this offensive line. They've been run blocking a lot better than what they started off this season doing, and they deserve credit for that as well. And so right now, DeAndre Swift is playing really good right now. And we just got to keep this thing going. And so, Cole Kmet's been utilized a little bit better as well. I still want to see more to Cole Kmet. But overall, we're starting to see that progress from the weapons that we had projected coming into this season for sure. But then let's flip it. Let's look at some on the defensive side of the ball. Jaquan, listen, I know he's out. I know we got the injury thing, and we'll talk about that. Jaquan Brisker is playing some of the best football that he's ever played in the Chicago Bears uniform. Just period. We end up finding out that he was playing through injury, a lot of part last year. So, last year. So it is what it is when it comes down to that. But overall, Jaquan Brisker has become so much more of a just well-rounded player. You look at forcing the fumble against Trimble, right, which may have resulted in him getting a concussion, which we'll talk about. But overall, Jaquan Brisker he's just having a great season. And I think he's on track for a Pro Bowl year. And I love just the way that Jaquan Brisker is performing and really stepping into that leadership role in the secondary and overall in just the defense as a whole. Now, of course, we got the news yesterday. We dropped an emergency video yesterday that Jaquan Brisker did not travel with the Chicago Bears to London as of yet, right? He's one of 3 players that did not travel. He could very well catch up with the team, and that's okay if he does that. But overall, with the concussion things, I always like to play on the side of err on the side of caution with that, because it's more about having Jaquan Brisker going forward than what it is about just having him in a game in London against the Jacksonville Jaguars. And it's not like the Jaguars are an amazing passing team either. They're averaging a little over 200 yards in the air per game. I think that, per what we said in the video yesterday, the Bears have more than enough in that secondary to be able to weather one game without it. And Jonathan Owens needs to step up. Next man up mentality. But I think a big part of the Bears' success is going to be having Jaquan Brisker there overall and have him healthy. And so let's hope that that's the case. The Bears did arrive in London today. About 2 hours ago is where they arrived in London, which I think was a really good decision by Matt Eberflus, is to have the team go over there early, have the team settle in, get over the jet lag and things like that. And then we could just come down and see what this team's going to be, man. But things are really going in a good way. Jaquan Brisker playing much better, who I already mentioned as far as how he's developed over this time for the Chicago Bears, and he's playing some of his best football as well. But you also got to acknowledge Kyler Gordon. I think that, Kyler Gordon and the job that he does sometimes is easy to kind of overlook, right, at times. But Kyler Gordon being able to be used in run defense, pass defense, being that nickel, and he's not allowing he's keeping the quarterback rating when teams pass him really low as well. Like, listen, when you have a whole side of the field that quarterbacks just don't throw to the side of the field that Jalen Johnson's on very often. That's going to leave for your other cornerbacks to be exposed a little bit more at times. And so far through what we've seen, listen, Kyler Gordon being in that nickel, Tyreek Stevenson and what they're able to do, right? All these players that we have here, the depth that we have in that secondary, listen, they're playing great. They're playing amazing. And it's really good to see the development that's happening here with the Chicago Bears team. And so over the last couple of weeks, these are the players that really have stood out a lot. This is not saying that they're the only players to play well, right? Javon Dexter's been playing well all season, right? Darrell Taylor's been playing well all season, right? These guys have been playing well. Andrew Billings been playing well all season, basically. Like, the defense has been firing on all cylinders, right? TJ Edwards had a little down game there. He immediately came back to being himself. So the defense is the defense, man. And this is really the thing that we're really building this team around and what's helping us stay in games and stay engaged, those type of things, really good to see. But I do want to also talk about a trade rumor suggestion, I think is the better way. Not really saying that either teams have talked, but this does come from Adam Schefter, in which he points out somebody that the Bears could look to go into. Now, he started this conversation off saying that with the Bears struggling, they could start selling off pieces, right? I mean, not with the Bears, the Browns. With the Browns struggling, they could start looking to sell off pieces, which then could lead to players like Amari Cooper being moved and things like that, right? But then also he moved it to somebody that the Bears could target on this roster, and that's Wyatt Teller. Now, this is an offensive lineman that, listen, when it comes down to it, we need some depth there. And Taylor has been one of the better guards in the NFL over a period of time. He made the Pro Bowl each of the last 3 seasons as well. Now, the question is, and this is the question that we've been presenting here with Chicago Bears Central, is that if Ryan Poles makes a move for offensive linemen like Wyatt Teller, that is going to mean that you're going to have to give up a pretty good draft asset that you have, whether you do it in this upcoming draft or it's a future pick if you can get the Cleveland Browns to agree to taking a future pick and they don't want the compensation now, right? And so with that, you got to look at the value that's there in the player. And again, the money. That's a big part in all of this as well that you cannot overlook because, we're about to start having to pay some of our guys. Some of the guys that we've drafted over the last few years, we're about to have to start paying some of those guys. Now, Wyatt Teller is 29 years old, which is a really good deal. He signed a 4-year, $56.8 million contract extension with the Cleveland Browns in 2021, which means after the season, he has 1 year left on his deal. So the Bears don't necessarily have to look to pay him immediately, right? But you look at next season, he's going to have a base salary of $12 million. $12 million, and he'll be a $21 million cap hit. $21 million cap hit. That's where you start getting into, okay, what are the Bears? How do they now counteract it? Now, the Bears have their own sets of free agents that can come up. They can end up not re-signing Tevin Jenkins, which could lead the Bears with having a guy like Teller there to then, not have to worry about paying for an additional year. But that's a big cap hit. Now, the Bears could extend him and then renegotiate, work some of that into a signing bonus to take that cap hit down some, which is, something that the Bears could do. But what would it take to trade for Wyatt Teller is the question here that the Bears would have to ask themselves. And that's where it comes down to, I don't know. I really don't know. Like, it really depends on quite a few factors, right? The Browns have been playing bad. And if the Browns just look at this season as, let's go into asset acquisition mode to get as many assets as we can for the players that we have that, may not fit what we're doing. Again, we'll see. Now, he is right now on injury reserve. Now, that may cause some questions there as well. Wyatt Teller is on injury reserve, so he's probably not going to have a Pro Bowl season this year. He is eligible to turn in Week 8, which is before the trade deadline, which will leave the Bears some time. They can acquire him with basically hoping that they're going to put him out there right away. So there's some questions with that. The injury thing is the thing that brings, like, when he's on the field and healthy, there's no question there. Do the Bears want to take another shot on a guy that's going to be a $21 million cap hit next season that's coming off a major injury? That's where it gets into some interesting thing. Now, Adam Schefter in this report did say that they could maybe secure him with the injury and stuff like that with a day 3 pick. Now, here's what I'll say. If it's a day 3 pick, if you can get Wyatt Teller, even with his injury concerns, but what he's been when he's on the field for a day 3 pick, I don't know if I believe that portion of it. I don't know if I believe that, right? Because you're still going to want to the Browns are probably going to want to sell as high as they can on him. Yes, he's coming off an injury, which could knock him down some. But if it's a day 3 pick, I think you roll the dice, man. I think you roll the dice. And if you don't have to give up any of your major players either, like you don't have to give up any young guys or anything like that, if you can get Wyatt Teller for a day 3 pick in next year's draft to secure your offensive line, right? And in this season, he may not be himself this season coming back from an injury, but you get him back fully healthy. You trust that he's going to be healthy next season. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think I may want to take a chance on that. take a chance on that. But let me know what you guys think down below. Wyatt Teller, what he's been, 29 years old, is going to the other side of 30, which may cause some concerns, especially with the injury concern there. But what do you guys feel if the Chicago Bears were going to be a little bit more aggressive about going out there and shoring up some offensive line help in Week 8 that then could come back and still finish off the second half of the season with your team and really up the standard of that offensive line? Let me know what you guys think. Again, calculated risk is what I want to see the Bears take. I don't want to see them take risk just to take them. I don't want to see them take dumb risk. But Wyatt Teller, yes, it's a risk. The injury makes it a risk, right? If he was fully healthy, we wouldn't be talking about a potentially getting him for a day 3 pick. But something to look at. Just something to look at. Let me know what you guys think on that down below. We're going to go ahead and clear out the last little bit of voicemail that we have as well, referring to the game. This one's from Ant.
Yo, what up, fellas? Your boy Ant. Calling to say big ups for that dub, you know what I'm saying? That was a big team win. We needed to see that big blowout win to get us that boost of confidence that we need going, you know what I'm saying, further and further into the future, especially these upcoming games, because we know we're about to get into that deep stretch, that hard home stretch of, not home stretch, but like, you know what I'm saying, that deep stretch of division games and top tier teams that we're going to play. So getting this boost of confidence against a weak opponent is good, because that just leads into your confidence going into these tough opponents, and you don't, you know what I'm saying, weighing down from that. You just keep going and attacking those guys. I want to stay, you know, where everybody's chiming in about how, you know, they worried about Montez Sweat not getting enough sacks and we not blitzing enough and things of that nature. You know, I'm not worried about Montez Sweat. Montez Sweat, you know what I'm saying, his sacks is going to come mid-season when everybody is, you know what I'm saying, starting to slow down or whatever the case may be. He going to ramp up. He going to get his, because that's what he do. Montez Sweat is an all-year-round player. His motor don't stop. He going to get his when he get his, especially if, you know what I'm saying, Dexter don't stop doing what he doing. Oh, man, that boy going to tell that middle to where they start moving the double teams his way, and that's going to free up Montez Sweat, and he going to do what he do. The only thing I would say about our defense, because that not giving up 21 points in the last 10 games, like 21 or fewer points, like, come on now, that's beyond elite. The only thing I would say that I would like to see on our defense, instead of us doing any kind of pass blitz, let's do some run blitz, because we getting gashed too much in this run game. Let's show up that run defense. You know what I'm saying? If we can't get there with our 4-man pressure on the running backs like we do on the quarterbacks, let's throw in a couple of run blitz right there. This way, it'll stop the teams from, you know what I'm saying, gashing us with those big runs and things of that nature. So if we can shore that up, there's nothing you can do with this defense at all. And the other thing I want to do, I want to give flowers to a silent killer that's not so silent on the defense, man, because if you think about it, Kyler Gordon is almost like Jalen Johnson. Teams don't throw his way like that. And when they don't pay attention to him, he blitzing the quarterback. And when they do pay attention to him, they're not throwing to the nickel guy like you would normally see a team throw to that nickel guy. So him being like a shutdown nickel, that's something that you don't see in these days. You know what I'm saying? So just want to let that be known. You know what I'm saying? Give me y'all thoughts. You know what I'm saying? As always, Chi-Town up, bet down. Love y'all, man. Have a good one.
All right, and listen, I agree with basically everything that you said there. Like, I get it. As Bears fans, I think it's a luxury right now to be where we're at, where we can worry about things like, hey, are we blitzing enough? To worry about things like, hey, Montez Sweat doesn't have enough sacks. When we're getting the performance that we're getting from this defensive line, I think all that plays into a part where, listen, the Bears are performing really, really well right now. And I'm not mad at that, right? And I think that the confidence that this Bears team is building, confidence goes a long way. And I know these guys are professionals. They're paid to play the game. And it's easy to think, well, they should be they should come in with pride and confidence because, listen, they're here to play. They're getting paid millions of dollars to play a game. I understand that, right? But when you're a young team, especially led by a young rookie quarterback, you want to see that progression and development. You want to see that confidence be built. And I do think confidence can be what takes some shaky games and makes them solid games for Caleb Williams. We're seeing the progression of Caleb. And that's what this season is about. Again, as I've said for a while now, it's not about him being mistake-free. It's not about him being generational, looking like that from day one. It's about, for me, how quickly does he learn from the mistakes that he makes game to game. How many mistakes did he make in year one that's eliminated, or that he's making at a much lesser amount by week 10, right? Those are the things that I want to see for Caleb Williams over his rookie season. Now, of course, I have just as many upward thoughts and wants to see from Caleb Williams over the course of his career with the Chicago Bears. Absolutely. I want to see winning football. I want to see some of the best offensive play and quarterback play I've ever seen in the Chicago Bears uniform. That's what I want to see eventually. But it's a rookie year, and I'm going to be a little bit more patient about it in a rookie year. But listen, overall, the confidence is building from this team. I think the confidence is building in Shane Waldron as well. You are seeing Shane Waldron be a more confident and competent play caller and utilizing his talents well. Listen, it's inspired the way that he's used Doug. Doug Kramer has been on this team for 3 years and is largely, mainly due to injury, done nothing. We are now seeing Doug Kramer be utilized as a fullback and it get results. So those type of things are good and it's going in the right direction. And I can't wait to see what this team looks like after the bye week. Let's get through this game with the Jacksonville Jaguars and let's see what it looks like after that. Now, as far as Kyler Gordon, I agree with you. He is such a special weapon in this defense. Blitzing, both run blitzing, pass blitzing. Like Kyler Gordon can do it all. Coverage. Kyler Gordon, once he was moved to that nickel, it's like everything started clicking for him. And some players are just better in certain positions and situations. And what we have in Jalen, Tyreek, and Kyler Gordon as your starting cornerback trio, not to mention when we get Terrell Smith back, right, and have him back who's been out, like we have so much depth there that I love. And let's see how it's going to continue developing for this Bears team. But that's my time for today, guys. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.